between Byron and Megan and their 4 sets, they did 100. So we had 900 between us, and we were basically just doing 5 reps every 2.5 minutes.
For 4 hours and 15 minutes.
Yeah, roughly 4:15, 4:20 or something like that.
We'll definitely do a walk in our hands competition.
That's good.
We'll definitely do a box jump competition. Like stuff like that, like broad jump competition, some like power stuff, right? And like I like to, because you're a pretty athletic guy as well. I've seen you do some stuff.
Right. Not the last 2 weeks because, Adrian didn't want to film me in my underpants.
I never said that. I would
mean,
have been thrilled to have filmed you in your underpants.
I don't think that's the case. I think I mentioned it and you were sort of a bit fishy about it, and then all of a sudden,
No, I wasn't. I was like, yeah, cool.
You ready?
I think so. I think I'm ready.
Welcome back, everybody, to the Big Flex.
Welcome back, everyone. We survived. We did it. We're still here.
We did 1,000 squats between us and a couple of assistant sets from Megan and Byron. But before we even start talking about the squat challenge,
What else are we talking
if you haven't done so already,
about? Oh, yeah.
please like and subscribe.
The whole reason why we did the squat challenge.
Yeah.
The whole reason.
The whole reason. So please like the channel, subscribe, put the bells on for notifications if you want to get updated on when we put new videos and content out.
Yeah.
If you haven't done so already, you can look up here. You can look up here, and I'll put the link to the 1,000 squat challenge, 1,100 kilo squats that we did.
Yeah.
And
helps us out a lot.
Yeah. So a little bit of background for those just tuning in, although basically the only people that listen to this podcast are people from the gym, and so they already know why we did it. But when we did 100 subscribers, we got to 100 subscribers, we raced first to 100 squats. Then we said when we get 1,000 subscribers, you know what, and I'll put up here, I'll put the race to 100 kilo squats as well. People can watch that if they want to.
Yeah.
At the end of that video, when we were very jelly legs, because we did 100 squats in like 10 or 12 minutes.
I feel like we said that we would do the 1,000 squat challenge thinking that it would just take a very, very long time. And it happened a lot sooner than I think we both thought, right?
Yeah, well, especially since doing, I went into this whole thing, it started last May, post every single day on social media. And granted, I haven't done every single day, but I am posting across 3 different social media platforms. It was 4, but TikTok can just go to hell. So it's 3 different social media platforms. And so if you look at total number of posts, it's definitely more than 1 a day, but there are a lot of duplicates there. But yeah, so basically across Instagram, Facebook, and YouTube, there's just been a heap of posting since last May, and it's jumped the subscribers up from like 500 up to like 1,400 now. So when we got to 1,000 subscribers, we said, let's do 1,100 kilo squats. And we did it. We did it.
Barely.
Well, I don't know, barely. I thought it was actually not too bad.
Look, we definitely did do it. We did it with the help of the team. We had Byron and Megan helping us out as well.
Yes.
Our clients, they were responsible for taking some of the strain away from us. So like if we needed it, they jump in and do an AMRAP set, and they crushed it. They both did really well.
They did really good.
Yeah. So how should we start?
Well, I think it's in like
set the scene for like what we did.
Yeah. So
or just go straight into.
Well, I think yeah. Let's just talk about in terms of prep. So because during this whole process, I've been losing weight. I've gone from 117.75 kilos down to, as of this morning, 106.6 kilos.
And if you want to know why, you could look up here.
Yes.
And you post a link to the other series you're doing,
I'm going
which
to
is your
post
Road
a
to
link.
10% body fat,
yes,
right?
a link to the playlist, The Road to 10% Body Fat.
So if you want to see this guy in his underwear.
Yes. Yeah. There's a full transparency. So you see me daily weigh-ins on the scale, weekly photo progress pictures in my underpants. Not the last 2 weeks because, Adrian didn't want to film me in my underpants.
I never said that. I
mean,
would have been thrilled to have filmed you in your underpants.
I don't think that's the case. I think I mentioned it and you were sort of a bit fishy about it, and then all of a sudden,
No, I wasn't. I was like, yeah, cool, whatever.
Yeah, right.
Kez wasn't there. Oh, hey man, you need a bro to film you in your underpants. I'm your bro. I'll film you in your underpants.
Yeah, the last 2 weeks there's been no undie shots, but the progress pictures will commence again next week for a few weeks. And full transparency on my diet. So there's a video on there of showing exactly how I prepare 2,000 calorie in a day. Across all the 5 meals, and it's actually quite a good amount of volume of food. Talk about macros and calories and all sorts of stuff. So it is pretty interesting if you are interested in that, and on my journey to get down to 10%, which is going to be in total probably about 27 kilos I need to lose of fat to get there. And I'm down about just under 11.5 kilos, which is great.
Yeah, so while you've been doing that,
Yes.
that's what you've been doing lately. I've been doing the opposite, and I was down at 75 kilos and about 6 to 10% body fat, and now I'm going up to 90 kilos, and I'm just recently, well, it depends. My weight's been fluctuating a lot over the last couple of weeks, but I'm pretty solid now at the 88 mark.
Yeah. When you first started working here, you were 75.
Yeah.
And then you did naturally, because we did the first squat challenge, like your weight was in the low 80s, yeah?
I
80s?
weighed in at 74 on the day.
But there was a little bit of a cut to get there.
For a while before we did the squat challenge, I was bang on 75.
Yeah.
It was about a year and a bit before we did the squat challenge. And then for the squat challenge, as it got heavier and heavier and heavier, I just needed to eat more to recover.
Yeah.
Because my diet I was doing carnivores, primarily just fat and protein.
Yeah.
And so I needed to add some carbs and things like that in just for recovery. So my weight went up a little bit. I think I lost 4 kilos and got down to 74.
Yeah.
So yeah, so between 75 and 80, I
Right.
naturally sit between 75 and 80 anyways, around the 80 mark.
Yeah.
And I've been, for Static Monsters to hit a weight class for a competition coming up, I've very slowly been making my way up to 90 kilos. And I'm almost there now. So it would have been 15 kilos in about a year and a half is what I'm going for.
Yes.
Yeah, so I've been going up in weight.
Yeah,
as you've
so
been going down.
you originally went up, and then you were doing it a bit too quick, and you weren't happy because you're putting on more fat mass than what you
got a
wanted,
bit
and then you
fat,
came
yeah.
back down about 5 kilos, because you went up to like 88,
I was at 88 point, almost 89.
and then you came back down to like 82.
First time I did a real dirty bulk and was
Yeah.
like snoring pretty hard, like a lot more fat around my face and neck, and just wasn't enjoying it. I actually wasn't feeling good either.
Right.
And so then I dropped back hard all the way to about 82, 83, and then I've very slowly been building it back up since then.
Nice.
Focusing a lot more on what I'm eating, the quality of my food, and just being super strict and consistent with it. Not having pizza a few times a week and like, like
I don't know. There's still fair food Uber Eats and pizza boxes in
there's
that
still
bin
always one cheat meal a week.
Okay.
There's one cheat meal a week, sometimes two, but there's always one cheat meal, always.
Nice.
But yeah, like much more consistent with it, and it's been much better
Awesome.
go of it this time around. So
that's good.
I've been going up in my weight, preparing for the squat
So
challenge.
Adrian's going up to 90. I'm coming down to 90.
Try and meet
he'll be
somewhere
there. He'll be there before me, which is interesting because then we can do stuff and it's the same weight. So there'll be no more discrepancy in weight, which would be very interesting, I think. So in the lead up, because I am losing weight, I've been very switched on with having high protein. I've been aiming for like around 3 grams of protein per kilo of body weight per day. So like upwards of 300 grams, which is really hard to do. But that means that because I can't just blow out my total calorie count, I've been keeping my fats and carbs quite low. My carbs have been usually only like 90 to maybe 120 grams on a big day, which is not much. It's pretty low carbs. But in the lead up to the 1000 squats, I had on the Thursday upped it to 160 grams. On the Friday, I had 285 grams. And then the day of, I had 582 grams of carbs. And so my weight dipped up a little bit with the extra water retention. It's come back down. But now I'm well lower than what I was before carbo loading up. So that was my preparation in terms of food. In terms of actual training, it was just basically 1 month. It was like a good amount of volume on, well, it wasn't even, week 1 was not that much volume at all. Week 2, I did 100 reps twice. Week 3, I did 150 reps twice. And then week 4, I did 2 deload sessions. So just 15 reps, 3x5s on like a Monday and a Thursday. And then we did the challenge on Saturday. So I kept it short and sweet. And it was good because I hadn't trained in so long. I got those newbie gains back. Like I haven't trained properly since August when I hurt my neck. And so everything was feeling pretty good. Like I've had almost 5 months off, 4 months off by the time I started filming, started training. And I felt like my squat was just getting stronger each time. Like I was going no sleeves, no squat shoes, just flat shoes, no belt, and just focusing on like bracing and using everything properly. And I felt great. Felt really good.
I feel like almost the exact opposite of you. Like I've been training for the squat challenge for quite a while because I knew that it was coming. So I've just been throwing AMRAP sets in for the last couple of months, like about 6 months. Not really doing the volume on squats, just like getting a couple of sets of 20 and like 15s, 10s, and 20s at 100 kilos for a while. And it wasn't until the last month. So the first week of the last month, I did 100 squats. Then the next week was 250 squats. Then the week after that, the third week, I didn't want to do a lot of time doing a lot of volume. So the third week is about 425 squats. I just wanted to get a whole week in getting almost the 500 like we would be on the day. And in terms of how many carbs I was eating, It was my birthday 2 weeks before the squat challenge.
Yeah.
So I didn't really focus on my calories. I was eating what I usually ate and then even more. The Monday after my birthday, I weighed in at 90.9.
Ooh, B-boy.
My weight went from about 87 to 91 almost.
You also implemented
back down to, it's just all over
some
the place.
creatine as well.
We've taken creatine at the start of the month as well. So it's been all over the place, but way more carbs than usual. And then even still, way more carbs right before the squat challenge as well. I was feeling pretty rough like the whole time. The whole time in the lead up. Every week, felt harder and harder and harder. But I feel like I really needed to do all that work to make sure I could handle it on the day.
And that's what you were saying.
Because on the day, I was struggling pretty hard. I was fresh and I was feeling good. And I was really struggling to get the amount of reps that I got.
The last 150 looked tough for you.
The last 100 were really hard. Yeah, I was all right up until then. But I felt like I needed that extra work just to like mentally know that I could actually do it in the first place.
Yeah.
Yeah, and even the recovery. I've been in pretty poor shape this week.
Really?
I've been pretty beat up. Yeah, it's been quite a lot to recover from. I did like a small session on Tuesday, and even since Tuesday, like my back's still just a bit like tight and aggravated. My knees are a bit achy. Like that really kind of took its toll on me more than I thought it would. I thought that I would just be muscle sore.
Yeah.
Muscles are still sore, but more so, it's more so just my joints are a little kind of achy. Not bad, just like still a bit achy. I just need more rest than I thought I'd need.
Right. Yeah. I think it's interesting to say we actually had slightly different approaches in the lead up to the challenge, where the week before I only wanted to do, because we knew we were going to get 4 sets in, 2 from Byron, 2 from Megan.
Yeah.
And so we knew that we were hoping that it would be around 100 reps less off the total.
Yeah.
So we'd have to do around 450 squats each.
And Paul Byron, I've been punishing that man, doing volume squats alongside me leading up to the comp, and he delivered too, which was good. And
I took a different approach in my last week, the most volume week, in the fact that I did only 300 squats because I didn't want to run the tank empty the week before the big show. Taking that similar from when I was doing the running training and the lead up to the marathon, the week before is only meant to be about 30 Ks as opposed to the full 42.
Yeah, you don't do the whole amount.
Right. But you really wanted to make sure that you could handle the whole volume. So you did like 450 squats the week before.
But then I had almost an entire week off as well. I did 1 squat session in the week.
But you said you felt busted up during your deload sessions, whereas I still felt pretty fresh during my deload sessions.
It was just the 1 deload session.
Oh yeah, because you were going to do 2, but you only got the 1 done.
Well, I was still pretty sore. So I just ate a lot more and took the extra time to recover.
Yeah.
Also, this is even a secondary goal to what I'm trying to do. So I consider this, even though we were doing it as a challenge, I've been mainly trying to put on weight to get to the weight class or as close to that under 90 mark as I can for the comp. So that was kind of my main goal. So even doing all that extra volume, if you want to put on weight, the best way that you could do it is hundreds and hundreds of squats, just volume squats. It loads your entire body up in a way that no other exercise does, probably bar deadlifts. You can lift the most amount of weight. You can do a hell of a lot of volume. And in terms of hormone response and strength gains and muscle build, squats is kind of the king of all exercises. So I just wanted to get as much volume in as I can while we're doing volume for the squat challenge.
Yeah, that's fair.
And I almost put on 2 kilos in like a month and a bit, which is huge in terms of recovery. That it's taken me like just under a kilo each month or about a kilo each month, which has been pretty tough. Like lean weight, I'm not just talking about fat because that's easy to put on. And I put on about 2 kilos. I was around the 86-ish mark around December, and now I'm at 88.
But you are going to hold a bit more water weight from that creatine as well. That's important to note.
Yeah, but consistently, even from before, consistently, I'm bang on 88 now, which is great. Which is huge.
Nice.
So if you ever want to put on a good couple of kilos of muscle, just do 300 to 400 squats a week for a couple of weeks.
For a few weeks.
It'll be easy.
What I'm really interested in is because with this road to 10% body fat, I did that initial DEXA scan when I was 115 kilos. I did that at the start of November. And then I got even fatter over Christmas and New Year's. And so I started my road to 10% body fat at 117.75, right?
Yeah.
So I put on an extra 2.5 kilos, let's say. I'm going in for my next DEXA scan when I get down to 105. So that will be 12.5 kilos total loss, but 10 lost from my first DEXA scan.
Yep.
When you lose, and it's been quite quick, guys. It's only been 41 days and I've lost those 11.5 kilos, right? When you lose weight quickly, you definitely are at risk of losing a lot of lean mass, which you don't want. You don't want to strip your bone density down. You don't want to lose connective tissue and muscle mass. You want to lose fat mass, right?
Yeah.
Now, I know that I'm at risk of decreasing lean mass from dropping weight quickly. But in my mind, I'd rather just get this fat mass off and build up more lean mass later. And
Do you think you are, though? Because you weren't training before.
I wasn't training in the lead up to that DEXA scan. And now that I have been training, and granted, January, I was only doing lower body. I wasn't doing any upper body. I did my first upper body session on Monday. This is Friday, guys. My tits are still so sore. It's like they're obnoxiously sore. I wake up every morning and I'm like,
how dare you?
all right, it's terrible.
Yeah.
It's terrible.
Yeah.
So this was like, I'm interested because 1 month of training a heap of volume on legs, did that preserve my lean mass? Am I able to increase lean mass even? Because I hadn't been training for so long beforehand. It's really interesting. So that DEXA scan will hopefully be in about another 2 weeks when I hit the 105 mark, 2 to 3 weeks. And in that period between now and then, I'm only going to be doing more gym sessions.
That'd be interesting.
So
well, and then what are we going to do after that? So let's say.
Well, we got to finish talking about the squat challenge first before what comes next.
What do you mean? What else are we going to talk about?
Well, I mean, how did you pull up afterwards? Like, I finished.
I don't want to think about it.
I finished the day, and I'm going to put up a photo on the screen now. The worst part, the day of, was this.
Oh, yeah.
I'll put it up on the screen, but basically it was I got a bar rash across my shoulders, and my back was just peeling and flaking, and
I didn't get that bar rash across my shoulders. I felt it though. It was burning every time I put that bar on my shoulders, and my knee sleeves, like biting at the back of my knees.
Yeah,
that started being more painful than anything else. It was burning.
Yeah,
it was not nice towards the end there. I was surprised. I think because I have been squatting every week. I've had a bar on my back. It wasn't as bad as yours, obviously. But you actually pulled up okay, didn't you?
I actually pulled up surprisingly good. So on the day,
son of a bitch. you pulled up okay.
On the day, when I was squatting, my knees were like a little bit achy around the 250 rep mark. But then after, from let's say 150 to 250, but after 250, they felt fine. They just felt good, and my depth actually started getting deeper towards the end. I was just really warming up into it. And
it just takes 250 reps to warm up into your squats.
And also my quads, but just the meaty part right in the middle of the quads was burning quite a bit. I was surprised. I thought my lower back and my hip flexors were going to get jacked, and they weren't during the session. I was like, all right, maybe tomorrow. On the Sunday and on the Monday, my quads, calves, and glutes were cooked. And what's funny is my erector spinae, so the muscles that run column either side up your spine, that support your back, help hold you upright. Normally, I only feel those after squatting, deadlifting, the bottom third of my back, basically. I felt them from my ass to my shoulder blades. The entire support system up the back was all right, you've been working. So let's say back, quads, glutes, and a little bit in the calves for 2 days. By Tuesday, it was just quads and glutes. And by Wednesday, it was 95% better. Thursday, I felt 100% yesterday. I thought my hammies and my adductors were going to be cooked and my hip flexors cooked. They were all good. What about yourself?
I'm glad you put up all right, actually. It wasn't too bad. I was actually legitimately worried with all the injuries and stuff that you had that it was going to be a bad recovery, right? So it's awesome to see that you did.
Well, you actually mentioned that you thought that the volume training was actually one of the best things possible for coming back.
Exactly. Because you can't go heavy. Well, you got injured and then you took a break, started training again, pushed your weight pretty heavy, got injured, and that happened 2 or 3 times, which is hard. A lot of athletes do that when you know what you're capable of. You get an injury where you have to stop and start all over again.
Just pushing back too fast, too early.
Yeah, and you can do that. You physically, literally can. And so you do that, but you just shouldn't. If you're injured, depending on what the injury is, sometimes your body just can't handle that load. It just needs to be a slower build up, and you'll experience that firsthand, right? All the stuff that you were doing, you were heavy on the yoke again, all your weights were going up, and then it's just this recurring thing over and over. So the squat challenge is a good way for you to have to cap your weight. There's no reason to squat that much more than 100 kilos if you're doing hundreds and hundreds of reps.
The most that I was doing was 120 for fives, but if I was doing on my volume sets, just 100.
Yeah,
sometimes 105.
That's what I mean. So just the sheer amount of volume that you were doing, it builds better joint structures, ligament strength, tendons, all that sort of stuff. So it's probably the best thing that you could have done getting back into it.
I thought it was good.
So how did I recover? Poorly. You said my knees hurt on the 200 to...
How dare you?
The 200, 250 mark. My everything hurt almost the whole time. After about 200 reps, my glutes were so tight, they just wouldn't give up. They were so tight the whole time. They felt like they were half cramped. and they just wouldn't stop. After we got past the 200 mark, because the most I'd ever done in a session before was 150.
150,
Yeah. So once we got past 200, I was feeling it. My traps were like all the muscles in my neck. You know, when you brace,
Like your scalenes.
when you tense, yeah, sometimes you give yourself like a bit of a tension headache if you brace and push too hard. Because we were doing that for so many reps, I started getting a bit of like a headache, I think, but it was just because my traps holding the bar on my back and not letting it bully me out of position. Towards like the end, the last 200, I was feeling it every single rep. I didn't want to say anything because I didn't want to like make it worse because so many things were hurting. So
you didn't have to say anything.
There was
because
that.
you were lying down with a cold towel on your face.
I was struggling. So my traps and shoulders were actually really sore for about 24 hours. My shoulders were killing me. Everything was just inflamed. That was hurting a lot during the day. The bar was burning my back. My knee sleeves were burning the back of my knees after about 300. My glutes wouldn't quit. My hip flexors felt a bit tight, but my lower body, all in all, was actually not too bad on the day, except for those glutes. And it was just bullying me. I just didn't feel great doing the challenge. Everything after 300 was a bit of a grind. Those last couple of reps that we did, where we counted the last however many it was to finish the 1,000. I got 440. I think you got the 460.
Yeah. So just quickly would say,
Yeah.
between Byron and Megan
Yeah.
and their 4 sets, they did 100. So we had 900 between us. And we were basically just doing 5 reps every 2.5 minutes.
For 4 hours and 15 minutes.
Yeah, roughly 415, 420 or something like that.
Yeah.
I had to pick up a couple extra at the end just because I think you were slowing down
I was
a bit.
struggling.
And
I was
wanted to
really
make sure we got them all.
Really struggling to lock my hips out on the last like 4 or 5 sets, and I was getting to the point where I wasn't sure if I was going to start finishing sets of 5. So even towards the end, I went from 2.5 to 3 minutes rest and started pushing my rest periods out a little bit. Big props to Byron and Megan for hitting those, and they did those 100 reps, by the way. They had 2 rounds. That's all they did.
Yeah.
So Byron came in, did 1 AMRAP set when we needed
30
a break.
reps.
30 reps right off the bat. And then he came in the second time and did 20 reps. And then Megan was similar. She
Megan did 20 and then 26.
Yeah. So they smashed
So, yeah,
it. And
50
without them, there's no way. I feel like you could have kept going.
Yes, yeah, I felt like I could have. In the
If
back
you really
of my
needed
mind,
to carry, I
in the
think you
back of my
could've.
mind, I was wondering like, do we still do like 500 each, even with these things?
no
and
way.
but then it was like, oh no, let's just get the 1,000 done.
I wouldn't have survived. I pushed pretty hard to
But
get
even
to that
so,
point there, right?
I don't know if there's that many people that can say that they've done 44 thousand kilos worth of load, 44 tons and 46 tons in a squat session.
I don't think so.
In one day, it's a lot of volume.
It is.
That is the right math, right? It was
440 times 100.
yeah, 440 times 100. Yes, 44,000 kilos of squats. So 44 tons
It's way too many.
and 46 tons. It's a lot of tons.
So yeah, I was just struggling.
Even
But
if
the
you were
thing
like
that-
yoked and did a GVT, like 100 reps at 200,
I've
that's
done,
only
I've
20
done
reps.
100 reps before.
Yeah,
and
but
that's
imagine
manageable.
if you were a
That's
massive
fine.
bodybuilder and did 10 by 10, or like a massive bodybuilder powerlifter does 10 by 10
Yeah.
at 200 kilos, let's say, that's massive. That's still only 20 tons. Like, I feel like, has anyone listening, has anyone done more than 44 and 46 tons in a single squat session? And don't count your leg press because no one cares about your leg press.
Yeah.
Talking about squatting, guys, all right?
Yeah, that's a
In
lot.
the words of John Hack, just like, why would you do a less superior exercise when you can squat?
I don't think people have, and the reason why is because it took us 4 hours to do that.
It did take about 4 hours, 15
You know what I
minutes.
mean? Unless you're squatting 400 kilos every set.
Yep.
You know what I mean? Like it's going to take a while to get that much tonnage under your belt. And that's the thing actually that got me the most. I accounted for the workload and the training and the conditioning I needed to do to be able to push that out on the day. But I did not account for how many calories that we would burn on the day.
Yes,
and
that's
that
interesting actually.
really kicked my ass like hard. Which camera are we on now?
That one. This one.
That really kicked my ass hard. After the challenge, I ate beforehand. I had a lot of calories beforehand. I had a lot of calories the night before. I was having those gel packs and Powerades, like lots of calories to get me through. I was probably under half the amount that I needed. When we finished and stopped moving, my vision went blurry, started getting lightheaded. I couldn't hold tension in my legs. I kept falling over. I fell over a bunch of times. And it was just like over and over and over again until I got home and had a cool shower and cooled down a little bit. That made me feel a bit better. But then we had dinner. We had pizza for dinner.
Yes,
and
it was
I
so good
immediately
too.
kind of perked up a little bit. It
was so good.
My blood sugar was so low and I actually felt really tired the next day. It was hard to, you wake up sometimes, you can barely actually literally open your eyes. I was exhausted until we had breakfast. And then after breakfast on the Sunday. Then I started getting hungry. I ate 2 or 3 more times. It wasn't until Sunday afternoon, after eating so much, that I actually started feeling like normal again. Like after that steak that you cooked, we had some
T-bones,
slow cooked T-bone steak as well.
That's right.
Nice.
Smoked. Smoked with some applewood.
That's
a Korean,
about the tipping point,
with a Korean spicy barbecue rub.
Really tired.
Yeah.
Until we had that, and then after that, I started feeling kind of normal again. So I think I underestimated how many calories I needed to have during and after.
I was quite surprised. Now, on my watch at the end, it said, hey, you just burnt 3,800 calories. I'm like, and we all know, because I've said it several times, that wrist-worn calorie burn devices that track your calorie burn are notoriously bad at tracking calorie burn while exercising. Up to 93% inaccurate or overestimates, usually between 50 and 93%. So I also went onto a calculator online, 2 different calculators online, actually. I wanted to be as thorough as possible. So the watch said 3,800 calories. Yep. I used 2 online calculators where you put in your age, your body weight, your gender. Gender's a construct. You put on your gender and your average heart rate over a duration of time. So my average heart rate during that 4 hours and 15 minutes of squatting was 132 beats per minute. Right? That was my average. So I started off at 100 and it finished up at 155, 160. So the average is 132.
I kept doing mine when you asked me as well. I kept doing it as well. When you asked me when I don't even remember how far through we were. It was 140, and then every round after that, I did it again, and it just was climbing a couple of beats per minute.
Every single set, it just slowly keep going up.
Up over 150 by the end as well.
The 2 calculators came back. One said 3,300 calories, and one said 3,500 calories. So you have 3 different things: 33, 35, 38. So I probably burnt around, let's say, middle range 3,500 calories. During those 4 hours, which makes sense because when I ran the marathon, I was burning roughly 100 calories every kilometer. So over the 42 or 1,000 calories per hour. So over the 42 kilometers and the 4 hours that I ran the marathon, I burnt 4,000 calories. So 3,500 to 4,000 for about 4 hours of work. You had more rest period here, so it makes sense that it's 500-600 calories less. But yeah, so we definitely didn't eat 3,500 calories during, but that pizza was my first cheat meal in 35 days, and I downed a large meat pizza and 1.25 liters of Coke in about 4 minutes, and I was still starving. I was like, oh, my body needed that.
I was hungry. I couldn't eat after the pizza. I had to wait a bit so I could eat again. I was the same. It was pretty rough. And then I started feeling kind of normal after that. My blood sugar was super low, and I was dizzy, and I kept hitting the ground. So I was like, when the room kind of goes for a sec, I'd be like, I'd have to just sit down because I thought I was going to pass out. And I did that 5 or 6 times. Sarah literally had to hold my hand and help me walk because I didn't have the strength to lock my legs out. Yeah. And same the next day. So we walked to breakfast and then back, which is about 120 meters from our house. There's a cafe just down the street. And I started off pretty strong, and then my legs were kind of out to the side. I was kind of waddling, but I for almost 2 days straight, I couldn't lock my legs out because my adductors and VMOs just cramped, and my strength would go, and I'd drop under the weight of my own legs.
Well, we when we walked to get pizza, which is about 30 meters past that cafe, and it was
on the way back. It was the longest slight downhill was the hardest hill I've ever had to walk down in my life.
It was the longest walk to get pizza I've ever experienced. How are we taking this long to walk 150 meters each way? But anyhow.
It was pretty tough.
He did give us a free pizza because he's a friend of mine, and he was very impressed with our feet.
So what do you guys do today? We're like, well.
Yeah, he's like, have a free pizza. We're like, yes, thanks, big man.
Old Piccadilly.
So Old Piccadilly. Thank you, Chris, from Old Piccadilly.
This side of Perth.
If you are in the Joondalup area or in the northern suburbs, you should definitely check out Old Piccadilly Pizza in Joondalup.
Shout out, as the kids say.
It's great. So I think is that the sum up of the actual squatting work?
Yeah. So we did the diet, did the prep, did the recovery,
did the aftermath.
The aftermath. Yeah, I think that's pretty much everything.
Yeah.
Is there anything else you guys want to know? Drop something in the comments for us if you want to ask any questions about the squat challenge.
Please do.
No, we're not doing any more squat challenges. That's enough squat challenges.
No, we are going to do some squat challenges in the future when we get down to the same weight, because then we can do on par. It's no longer, it's percentage based, or is it relative or absolute? If we're both around the 90 kilo mark within a couple kilos of each other, we can do at body weight at 1.5 times. We can do an actual very comparable challenge.
The last time you were down at 90, you cut 8 kilos.
Well, no, 2 times. So during the squat challenge, I was weighing
when we did the squat challenge.
When we did the squat challenge is in
our first squat challenge that we did.
Yeah, I don't even know when it was. It might have even been after the 100 squats. I can't remember. Either way, whatever it was, who can squat the most, and we did it relative to body weight.
To body weight, yeah.
I was weighing around 96 kilos, but I water loaded up to 99 and then did a massive water cut down to 91, right? So that, or 90, whatever it was.
And I weighed on that one at 74.
Yes.
Yeah.
But after that, 6 months later, when I was training for the States, I was naturally, just from eating healthily, down at 91.5 kilos because I hurt my back a week out at 91.5 kilos, and there was no water loading yet. So I would have naturally, without manipulating my body through water weight and stuff like that, I was naturally at 91.5. So that's the lightest I've been in quite some time. But it is doable. That was, 2 years ago, a year and a half ago.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So what are you saying we should do? We should do
I don't want to put anything out there now. I'm just saying that in the future we could do a squat challenge that's actually on. There's no have to do calculations.
If we do another one, I think, because I'm actually interested to see that as well. If we do another one, I think we should do a more lighthearted one where we don't go crazy and try and win. We just within reason, put it in our program, say roughly give ourselves 6 months so we have plenty of prep time and not break ourselves in half like we have been for all these other challenges. Do a friendly competition.
Right.
It doesn't matter who wins.
We could even just do one AMRAP set, as many reps as possible at body weight, something like that, where it's not crazy heavy.
Never do volume again because that's the worst idea ever.
Well, that
and
makes
just
sense
do a 1 rep with enough prep and enough time.
Okay. We'll figure it out.
You know what I mean?
We'll
Something
figure
like
it
that.
out.
Or maybe even a triple or something.
Is
we
there
don't
anything,
have to push crazy heavy.
Is there anything that you would like to see us do if we get more in line with each other's body weight? Because then it's in line, right? There's no, it's relative or there's a formula, it's just would be the same. It could be interesting.
Let's do some athletic stuff. If you're lighter, you should be able to jump pretty high, right?
Oh, gosh.
Let's do a box jump challenge.
We'll see.
I like that one.
We'll see
box jump challenge. Or let's see who can walk on their hands for the longest.
Ooh.
All right? Like a handstand competition.
Dude, I got such long arms. You know that doesn't favor me at all.
Hey, man, with the same weight, should be fine, right?
No, it's different.
Why is it different?
Because I got long arms. It's harder.
It should be easier. You got a better gait. You should be able to cover ground further.
Longer
So we'll
levers.
definitely do a walking on our hands competition.
Let's go.
We'll definitely do a box jump competition. Stuff like that, like broad jump competition, some power stuff, right? Mm-hmm. And I like to, because you're a pretty athletic guy as well. I've seen you do some stuff.
But don't be fooled.
I've seen you
when
do
I'm
some
in my
stuff.
when I'm in my chunky state. Is that when it comes to being athletic, people think you have to always look athletic to be athletic.
You don't.
And one of my best friends, Rory,
Not always.
he's always been pretty lean, pretty shredded. People call him Rock Man because he's just dense with muscle, right? He was a winger and fullback in rugby, so he was very fast, agile, and he's what you would think of as an athlete. And he always used to watch. We used to watch NFL a lot together, and he'd always be like, "Oh, look at Ben Roethlisberger. He's so fat. He's not even an athlete." I'm like, "No, mate, you can be a fat athlete. Look at those linemen, those 350-pound linemen. Mm-hmm. They are athletes. Yeah. They just are carrying a heap of muscle mass and fat mass. Yeah. So you can be a fat athlete,
athlete. Very, very, very strong.
So don't be fooled.
And very, very powerful, just not for a very long time.
That's right.
Yeah.
Yeah, different strengths, right?
Yeah. So I think we should do some stuff like that. We can do some power and agility
I'm
stuff.
down. I'm down for something like that.
I think that'd be really exciting.
In terms of training now, I'm not doing anything heavy. I'm still making sure that everything is working 100%. Like I said, I've only been training 1 month now since hurting my neck back in August. It's been lower body only. I did my first upper body session this week, and man, it hurts. But basically, it was a bodybuilding style session. I did one volume session, one bodybuilding. I'm bodybuilding now, just so you know.
You're bodybuilding now?
I'm bodybuilding now. I did one session.
You're gonna get down into some speedos and do some.
No. Just like
training like a bodybuilder.
No, just spiritually. I'm a bodybuilder now. Okay. All right, I'm bodybuilder now.
I identify as a bodybuilder.
I did one volume session. I supersetted chest to chest, and my tits hurt, and I'm a bodybuilder now.
Cool.
Okay.
All right.
So just so you know, no, I'm going to be doing. I want to actually, as I'm dropping weight, it's going to be hard to push really, really heavy.
Yeah.
So I'm going to take this as an opportunity to do high volume work and try to build a little bit of lean mass and just condition my muscles in a way that they haven't really been trained in quite some time, if ever. Yeah. I've never, fresh out of school, I did some volume, no, that wasn't proper training. Now I actually have a bit of knowledge behind me and a bit of a base behind me. That's the goal, is to do, just try to get a little bit of volume in there and just see what happens. I have no intention of getting up on stage ever in underpants or
good,
that.
Because I'm going to make some people upset here, but bodybuilding is silly. So
silly. It is silly.
Deal with it.
Yes.
It's the pinnacle of fitness and health.
No.
It's actually incredibly unhealthy to get on stage for a bodybuilding competition.
Correct.
So yeah.
Yeah. No,
thank you.
Not even slightly interested in that. But I am interested to see if I can build some lean mass and build a bit of muscle size, maybe even as I'm dropping fat mass. Or if it prevents me from losing lean mass. Either way, I'm excited. Yeah. That's my training style. What are you training for now?
I'm following in, when I grow up, I want to be just like Sophie. If you could put a photo next to me here of Sophie.
I just don't have photos of Sophie on my phone.
We'll get a photo of her and you can put it up here. I want to be just like Sophie. She competed in Static Monsters last year, got top 10 in her weight class and has been invited to Worlds.
In the world. Top 10 in the world, guys.
In July, mid-year this year. So I'm going with her to London where she will compete to be the greatest in the world, potentially. We'll see. And I want to be just as cool as her. So that's what I'm going to try and do as well. I kind of surprised myself. I've been doing a lot of overhead stuff just for fun, really, for a while. And I joined in with Byron and Sophie at the last Static Monsters comp. I hadn't prepped at all for deadlifts and I was sick beforehand, but I'd still been doing some overhead work. So I trained the log once the week before and then almost passed out a little bit. And then on the comp day, I just did the log, joined in for fun and got heaviest on the day, which was pretty cool, actually.
Yeah.
I kind of surprised myself, started looking at the numbers and I have a legitimate chance of getting a top 10 if I push myself hard enough. So I'm going to try to do that. If at the end of this year in October, I can get top 10 in the under 90s weight class, then the following year I should be doing the same thing. So it's a couple of really exciting things coming up.
It's very exciting.
Yeah.
I like it.
Yeah,
well,
yeah.
I think that's
what I'm doing.
I think that's great. I'm excited to see how you go. And on that note, I think we end this episode. This recap is done.
The recap is done.
Perfect.
Yeah, so also, just before we do go,
yes,
we're going to do some just the fit tips. There's more coming at you.
Just the fit
We've got
tips.
some ideas up on the board here.
Yeah.
But as always, if you guys have any questions that you want us to answer on just the fit tip, and for those of you who don't know, just the fit tip is us getting into the kind of like the myths and debunking things, just health and fitness related things.
Anything health and fitness related. So we can debunk myths. We can explain why some old wives' tales about training are true. We can anything about nutrition, performance, anything about health and fitness. If you have an interest in it, shoot us a message and we can do. They're just short 5 to 10 minute episodes. Giving a bit of information and knowledge around those subjects.
We do a little bit of research and try and find the best information that we can find, the most relevant information that we can find.
Try to find it from peer-reviewed journal studies. If we can't, then we just look across broad sources. But
the best information we can find given the topic, and then we give you guys the tip of fitness.
Just the fitness tip.
Just
the tip of fitness.
Yes. All right.
Alrighty, guys.
So let us know in the comments if you have any good ones, and we'll get on that. And that'll be actually soon. We like doing those ones.
Yeah, 100%.
Cool.
Awesome, guys. Thanks very much. We will see you all again soon.
See you next time, guys.
See you guys.